Fantabulous day, fantastic learners! I hope you are having an amazing day despite of the pandemic that we are facing right now. So always make sure to stay healthy through eating nutritious foods and regular exercise. Hello everyone, I'm Teacher Flynn COT2 and I will be your English teacher. I will make sure you will learn and we will have fun together in exploring the wonders of universal language. So make sure you have your pen and paper ready because we are now about to learn new fun things in the field of English. Are you ready? That's great to hear. Let's start. During and after this discussion, you will be able to define imagery and its different types, classify words according to which they appeal to, and express appreciation for sensory images by writing a poem that contains imagery. I have different GIFs here, and all I want you to do is that to tell me what are the senses being used in every GIF. Do you still remember our 5 senses? Alright, we have the sense of sight, we have the sense of touch, we have the sense of taste, we have the sense of hearing, and we have the sense of smell.
Now, this is the first GIF. What do you think is the sense being used in this GIF? You only have 5 seconds to do it. Your time starts now. Time's up. If your answer is sense of touch, you are correct. Since you can feel when you got an IV placement, right? And now, the second GIF. What are these 2 fine men eating? Yes, it is a bitter gourd. Now your time starts. Can you feel the bitterness? Me too. If your answer is sense of taste, you are correct. How about this third GIF? What do you think is the sense that is dominant? Your time starts now. This place might be stinky because of the bulky garbage, but its people are great that they are battling everyday life despite of this situation. Now, what is the dominant sense in the GIF? If your answer is sense of smell, you are correct. Now we have the fourth GIF. Your time starts now. Time's up. What is the sense that is dominant in the GIF? Correct. It is sense of hearing. And now we have the last GIF. What do you think is the sense that is dominant in this GIF? Your time starts now. Time's up. This is a beautiful view, right? If your answer is sense of sight, you are correct.
Do you know, class, that in literature, writers are employing techniques to make the description of their works or pieces to be more effective? The use of these techniques gives life to the literary pieces. One of the techniques that the writers are utilizing to make their works even more better is the imagery. Do you know what is imagery? Correct!
Sensory imagery. So, what is it all about? Sensory imagery involves the use of descriptive language to create mental images. It works by engaging readers' five senses. To simplify, this device helps the readers imagine what they are reading.
Wait, teacher. Why do we need to use imagery? Imagery stimulates imagination. It takes the readers to different places in their mind. It also helps them to feel, see, hear, smell, and taste the world within the poem.
We have 5 types of sensory imagery. We have the visual, gustatory, auditory, olfactory, and tactile. Let's start with the visual imagery. Based from the image, you can assume that visual imagery engages the sense of sight. Physical attributes including color, size, shape, lightness, and darkness, shadows, and shape may be described in this type of sensory image. Let's have these examples. Number 1. The full moon rose slowly over the trees, blanketing the farm with a pale glow. In this sentence, full moon describes the shape of the moon. Rose slowly over the trees is describing how it moves, and pale glow is a description of its color. So, from the sentence, the readers can already imagine that it's nighttime and the moon is big and radiant. Let's have example number 2. An old hound dog kept watch from the safety of the rickety porch. The sparkle of the wet grass reflected in his eyes. In the second example, old hound dog describes the subject, which is the dog. Rickety pork describes the condition of the dog's location, which is rickety pork shaky. Sparkle of the wet grass describes the condition of the environment. So, in the sentence, the old hound dog is carefully guarding a house in a garden, and it's probably after the rain because of the wet grass. Again, these words help the readers what scenario looks like. That is visual imagery. Next is we have gustatory imagery. This type of sensory imagery engages the sense of taste. This can include the 5 basic tastes: sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami, as well as the textures and sensations tied to the act of eating. Examples. Number 1. The sweet buttercream icing melted on my tongue. In this sentence, sweet describes how the batter tastes, while melted describes the sensation while eating. That is simple, right? How about the next example? I closed my eyes to savor the richness of the warm spice cake, and I knew I would have a second piece before the end of the night. In this sentence, the taste and sensation of eating the cake were all described by the words richness and spice, but they also describe the temperature with the word warm. The third sensory image is auditory imagery. This type of sensory image engages the sense of hearing. Literary devices such as onomatopoeia and alliteration can help create sounds in writing. And now, let us study the following examples. The first example, The clank of heavy plates drifted from the kitchen and fought with the steady hum of couples in conversation. In this sentence, the phrases marked in red may imply that the speaker is around by the people who are eating, continuously talking together. Now let's proceed to the next example. These splatters of rain on the ground was like the sound of bacon being pan-fried. In this sentence, the sound of the raindrops is compared to the sound of bacon being fried, which may imply that the rain is loud and heavy. Again, these words appeal to the sense of hearing, that's why it's under with auditory imagery. Can you get it? The next sensory image is olfactory imagery. It engages the sense of smell. Scent is one of the most direct triggers of memory and emotion but can be difficult to write about. Since taste and smell are so closely linked, though sometimes find the same word such as sweet that is used to describe both, there is a need for you to use simile because simile is common to olfactory imagery because it allows the writers to compare a particular scent to common smells like dirt, manure, or roses. Let's have the examples. That stinks like rotten meat, said Seth, clamping his hand over his nose. In this sentence, the speaker compared whatever he is smelling to the rotten meat, which implies a negative connotation, telling the readers that the smell is bad or stinky. Now let's proceed to the next example. He took in a deep breath and smelled the damp earth, the kind of worms love and rotten trees from the nearby woods. The second example describes a smell in not so natural manner. How do you explain the smell of the earth? In this sentence, the writer tried to appeal on the reader's mind that the sense of smell by mentioning things in the environment such as woods, trees, and worms. And that lets the reader imagine how the scenario smell based on their own experience. And the last sensory image is called tactile imagery. This sensory imagery engages the sense of touch. More so, this type of sensory imagery refers to what you can feel and includes textures and many sensations a human being experiences when touching something. Differences in temperature is also a part of tactile imagery. Examples: the sudden plunge in the cool water took his breath away and raised goosebumps on his arm. The words cool and goosebumps describe the sensation that you feel whenever your body suddenly feels cold. And now let's proceed to the next example. Her marriage felt like the beach after a storm, messy, tangled, and trashy. The second sentence made use of adjectives to describe feeling. These terms connote that the marriage is unhealthy. Based from these examples, tactile imagery does not just refer to physical sensation, but can be also felt by human emotion. Do you get it? That's great.
Now, it's time for us to recall the 5 types of imagery. We have the visual, appeals to our sight, gustatory, taste, auditory, appeals to our hearing, olfactory, our smell, and of course we have the tactile, appeals to touch or feeling. Have you fully understood our lesson in this episode? That's great to hear. Now, I want you to bring out a piece of paper and then I want you to tell me what type of sensory imagery is being used in every sentences. Do you get it? That's great. Let's start.
The silence was broken by the screech of tires and the scraping metal. Which type of imagery was used? You are correct. Hearing. Next we have when I bit into the lemon, its citrus flavor shocked my tongue. Which type of imagery was used? You are correct. Taste or the gustatory imagery. Next, he whiffed the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Which sense this sentence appeal to? You are correct. Your sense of smell, and it's called as olfactory imagery. Next, she gently stroked the cat's silky fur. Which type of imagery was used? You are correct. Touch, or what we call tactile imagery. Now, the last but not the least, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees fluttering and dancing in the breeze. You are correct. Sight or the visual imagery.
Congratulations! You really have fully understood our lesson in this episode. And now, I want you to bring out a whole sheet of paper, and then I want you to write a poem for our frontliners who are fighting for the spread of coronavirus. And of course, in your poem, I want to see the 5 types of imagery. Can you get it? That's great. Let's start.
Please be guided to the poetry writing rubric that is being presented. For your assignment, look for poems online and underline the imagery being used and determine if what type of imagery does it belong. Capture your output and to be sent on our group chat.
You did great in today's lesson. Time flies indeed when you are having fun. Always make sure that never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Once again, this is Teacher Tapukol, your English teacher. I hope you have learned so much in my discussion. See you next time. Bye!